How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? May 13th, and yes, getting back into Q's updates in this video. I'm going to go over everything that's been dropped over the last couple days. I know a lot of you have been telling me that you've been waiting for this, so let's go ahead and just get right into it. I'm going to start here with post 1339, and I'm going to read it and decipher as I go. It says, expand your thinking. Why are we being attacked, especially by people who claim to be pro-POTUS? Do we have a face and a name, and do we use platforms to collect followers? Selfless, zero vanity. Why are we here and asking questions? The choice has been yours. Use logic, free information. What draws people here? Expanding exponentially. They all claim to be insiders. They all claim to have insider contacts, but they don't. Patriots don't reveal classified information. Why does Q communicate this particular way? Think for yourself, clickbait. And then continuing on saying that they've established communications growth due to the confirmations with Q and very legitimate sources. Divine media, what's the goal of the media? Well, to selling different narratives for different sets of targets, and selling makes money. Be careful who you follow there again. So this is in response to all of the people over the last couple weeks that have just flip-flopped. Basically, the anti-Q crowd, what is, well, a new anti-Q crowd, and they've emerged over the last couple weeks because on April 29th, remember, Q said be careful who you follow, and essentially putting a non-direct message out there to say a lot of people in this movement are selling narratives and just trying to make a following and make money. Well, over the last couple weeks, of course, that's been bubbling, and over the last few days, that's exploded, and a lot of people are just, whether they're losing their minds, going off the rails, or just espouting a lot of illogical arguments. You know, with this anti-Q crowd, I see a lot of projection. They're projecting and making statements that they themselves are, in fact, the people that are guilty of, like claiming people are in a cult and things like that. But this anti-Q crowd is, almost like a cult, and they're using very cult-like behavior and cult-like thinking. I see a lot of confirmation bias in a lot of these new anti-Q arguments, and people are basically cherry-picking data sets and then weaving together a particular narrative or belief or ideology based upon this cherry-picked information. So it looks legitimate superficially, but you actually deduce what's been said and take in the full context of the picture, and the missing pieces, they don't offer. They're illogical. They're unreasonable. They don't make sense. For example, I see a lot of people saying, oh, there's a new Q and an old Q, but in my head, I'm like, when? When did we establish that? Who established that exactly? I don't know when that changeover from new Q to old Q or whatnot. A lot of people are saying that Q's tone has changed, and I'm sitting here like, well, yeah, as the mission evolves, as people began catching the confirmations, understanding the communications, and as Q can say more stuff, come more out in the open and whatnot, the mission changes. It evolves. So, of course, the communications will evolve on 8chan as well. And then a lot of people tripping about trip code changes, but I'm here like, shoot, I changed my Twitter handle and password to avoid hacking and whatnot. So I would imagine trip code being changed. I would be happy for that if they're trying to maintain more security with their operations. So, yeah, basically just a lot of confirmation bias, a lot of things that don't make sense, that I'm not vibing with, I'm not resonating with, and I just don't feel like people are perceiving the full picture. They're just trying to confirm their own ego's beliefs and not actually remain open-minded. There's a lot of rigid skeptics out there I see. A lot of people very rigidly skeptic. And then this next post, 1340, gets into the Reddit article, which blew my mind. It's definitely an honor to be featured in this, I will say. And I've got some interesting thoughts about this article, but I'm more so in agreement with it. It at least portrayed me in a light that was mostly true, and at least in regards to this particular article. Now, I will say, if you haven't read this article, go read it right now real quick. Pause before we move on, because then you'll get the background behind my analysis and what I'm about to say. But this particular article basically says that I was used in essence by InfoWars to particularly spread their Q agenda, and that they brought me on to, start delving into the Q topic, but use very specific neuro-linguistic programming to kind of get into the subconscious of their audience, and then sweep them their way, or like groom their minds for the InfoWars agenda. And I mean, it could very well be possible. Reading this is a very cited, well-written article. I'm not saying it isn't true, but I will say each time the InfoWars invited me to go on their show, I at least felt no ill will. And they very clearly outlined what I would be speaking on each time. So the first time I went on InfoWars was about Q in early December. Then I went on again to talk about the SSP, the Secret Space Program, and whatnot. And they very clearly laid out what I would be discussing. So it wasn't like I was going to talk about Q and then they gypped me on that or something to that effect. They were definitely respectful and clear about what I was going to be talking about. But again, that doesn't mean I wasn't used. And if, in fact, I was used and now that's being exposed, hey, great, cool. I'm all for being the, call that an innocent Trojan horse or something to that effect. Innocent, benevolent Trojan horse. I don't know. But let's discuss this article a little bit more. So it basically says at the beginning, on December 8th, InfoWars resorted to inviting me to talk about Q. Wanted to give a big shout out to Serial Brain, the author of this article, because thanks, man. Thanks for following along and featuring my work. And of course, thank you to Q for reposting this. This was a good piece. And then he continues to write, even though Jordan's main field of expertise is secret space programs and free energy, he has been following Q on his YouTube channel and has done an excellent job bridging Q to the masses. Thanks, my man. The SSP free energy stuff is definitely a passion of mine. I try to expand my field of expertise to, everything as much as I can, of course, connect all the dots for everybody. So I like health stuff. I like the SSP free energy. One thing I am stoked about is that this article featured the Secret Space Program free energy topics with zero discrediting and legitimacy to them, and then Q went and reposted this article. So that's an awesome bridge, awesome seed of those ideas into the collective consciousness. So I was happy about that. This article says, when I was invited by InfoWars, we can see how proud he is. They featured my tweet here about being featured with Roger Stone on InfoWars that day. Yeah, I was excited. I'm not going to say I was like wanting to shout it from the rooftops and shitting myself, but yeah, when you're invited, you're doing this work and you're invited on a program you've never been on before to reach a audience, especially something that has the InfoWars stamp on it that's popular, yeah, I'm going to be happy to spread my message to new crowds. Whether I am being used for an agenda or not, I'm going to go in there innocently. I'm going to go in there positively and authentic and just spread my message, say my piece. And this article then discusses how I was essentially used with certain programming techniques and whatnot. Again, you can click on the link that I'll post down below or just the Q posted and read for more context. Then this article goes into saying they had their homeboy Zach. That was their QAnon, their insider that InfoWars has been talking about for months. And I'll say here that I've never vibed with Zach. Something just was always off with everything that I would hear from it. And I listened to it for a few minutes one time, and I was just not resonating with whoever this guy was. So I never got into it. I never discussed it, at least until now. And that was my thoughts on all of that. And then this Serial Brain goes on to write basically that they invited me on again because I started questioning InfoWars a little bit, so they brought me on again to not talk about Q, but to put me in another box and kind of groom Q for themselves and bring Corsai out. So interesting angle. I could see maybe how that might have been the case. Again, they brought me on very clearly saying what I was going to be discussing, and there were breaking pieces of information surrounding this appearance on the SSP topic, things in regard to the DoD audit and whatnot that I was bringing forth. So, I did it innocently, brought my message, but hey, they could have had their angle. It's all being exposed now, so no hard feelings. Then it's saying that since I am a real truth fighter, again, thanks, man, they invited me on 3 days after my tweet kind of questioning the InfoWars FISA stuff and their narratives. I was like, I don't know about about this whole FISA memo topic a few months ago. They brought me on to basically bait and control me and put me in, quote, the SSP, Secret Space Program box, which, hey, that could have been their angle. They recently, after my second appearance on there, brought out Dr. Corsai to start doing Q stuff and kind of resurrected his channel, this article is saying, which makes sense. And when it comes to Corsai, a few months ago, back in, say, January, February, I definitely respected of a lot of his work. I didn't listen to much of it. I don't necessarily have time to listen to a lot of other YouTubers and work or whatnot. I just am kind of in my own lane, researching my own stuff. But I just had Corsai there. I didn't have any ill will against him or really follow his work enough to have an opinion on him. Although I will say I did hear some very wrong things from him once. Somebody sent me an email about a Corsai video where he specifically mentioned that we no longer have military space programs operating anymore. And that was obviously, if you follow my work, the information I present, that's very wrong. And I don't have, it's not divisive. I will say right now, side note, it's not divisive to call out disinformation right there. What is divisive? What's dividing people right now are themselves, because they're getting triggered from their attachments to idols, their attachments to belief systems and whatnot. Calling out disinformation is not divisive. In fact, you're calling out the dividers. Do it by doing so. So that was a piece of disinformation, the space program thing that I heard from Corsi that I knew was wrong. So what that taught me about Dr. Corsai was that either he's just unaware and unknowingly spreading misinformation, what sometimes has been termed as like an organic idiot. They're just being used, which he could be. Or there could be some kind of malevolent agenda. He's doing it purposefully. Either he's unknowingly doing it or purposely doing it. Don't know, but that just kind of let me know that Dr. Corsai, either his sources are wrong or he just doesn't know that he's spreading misinformation. So there's that. And then this goes on just to say, to finish up talking about the Q and how Q really is not disinformation. There's plenty of confirmations to show us that we're not in a Q cult, mind you, because it's not about Q, it's about where Q is pointing us. Q is the way shower. So respect for Q, thankfulness for Q, but it's not about that. There's no idolizing of Q, because Q, like you said before, the laser pointer, showing us the way, right? And that's what I try to do on this channel, is just show you guys the way. Here's all the links below the video, here's my information, here's where I'm getting it. You decide for yourself. That's pretty much what's being outlined over these Q posts over the last few days. Is all of these people that, whether it's ego, whether they are assets, knowing assets, or whatever the case is, there's just a lot of things being cleansed. A lot of offness, a lot of things going on that are thinning the herd, showing what's real and what's fake, separating that. Next post I want to get into here is 1343. It's continuing to outline what's been going on. They attempted to infiltrate, repackage, and rebrand as their own, as a profit vehicle, and destroy through misinformation. They were essentially decoding things wrong. AJ Corsai, everybody else, not necessarily wrong, but staying marginalized. And that's a note on kind of Alex Jones, because he's getting brought into this quite a bit, is that he's a very marginalizing person with his work, is that he doesn't delve quite as deep into things as he very well could or should. And that doesn't discount from the fact that there's been, from some perspectives, a lot of positivity in Alex Jones' works. I mean, actually, it was pivotal in my early awakening stages. There's a story behind that. And a lot of people have been red-pilled and learned things from Alex Jones. But at the same time, like I said, he's very marginalizing and definitely doesn't do as much as he could. And there's a lot of topics that Alex Jones does not get into. So understand that, again, don't hold on to those idols. Don't hold on to those belief systems, because they can have their knowing or unknowing agendas as well, right? And Q continues on here and says, action was needed to prevent false decodes and misinformation, and to kill targeted infection prior to expansion. Essentially saying here that there was an opportunity coming down the pipe for these particular people to, they'd basically be ticking time bombs. They'd basically be activated and start spewing more and more disinformation. So Q had to nip it in the butt, had to attack it now so it didn't expand out. Simple, non-direct statements made. Like it says here, be careful who you follow. Some are for profiting off this movement. Message sent and received. Those guilty immediately reacted predictably. That's been very evident. Timetable accelerated misinformation attack. So a lot of the shilling got ramped up very heavily. Attempts to divide. We responded. House cleaning. Heal. Core. Another cleaning going on, like I was just mentioning. Important to clean prior to next events. Things are going to keep rolling, keep happening very soon. And like it says here, attacks will only get worse, but truth is freedom and truth is logic. That's a good line right there. This is not a game. This is not a popularity contest. Again, it's not about the messenger. It's not about the messenger. Screw me, screw anybody decoding Q, screw Alex Jones, screw Corsair, everybody else. It's not about the messenger, it's about the message. Look at the message. Put all the pieces together surrounding that message, and you can get a feel very easily. It's the way intuition works. It's a very magic thing you can learn to use, is that will give you a sense of if the messenger is real or not. Just look at what they're saying, how they're saying it, okay? And then Q then posts right here, important, no private communications, no comms made outside this platform. A lot of people have been claiming that they've been contacted by QAnon or that they've seen some sealed indictments or whatever the case is, and it's just all things that make you scratch your head. Like, how did you get a peek at those sealed indictments, bro? Or, you know, looks like chemtrails are very clearly still being sprayed. The geoengineering aerosol spray is being laid in the sky, very obviously right before our eyes. So misinformation has been blatant, pretty easy to see, and a lot of people claiming inside contact, they don't have it. Understand that. You're not going to get contacted. They're going to, let's just say that they're going to know who you are and your mindset, and even if, you know, they did contact you, they wouldn't take a chance to contact people who they feel could be loose cannons, and everybody who is a loose cannon is showing their colors right now. So, but anyway, that's pretty much all in regards to the Q stuff the past few days that I wanted to say. You know, I'll just kind of end it right here with love for everybody. There's really just one absolute truth to the matter in any realm, and all we're trying to do is find that absolute truth. The problem is when people, you know, come in with their egos and their biases and thinking they have the absolute truth from their singular narrow perspective, from their own personal lenses, which they don't. You know, we can just make the best guess as to what the absolute truth is and not claim that we have it. Anybody claiming that they are the guru, that they have all the truth, don't follow them. So anyway, the rest of these posts I'm not going to get into because this video is already long enough, and it's just in regards to Iran saying that Clinton basically organized and planned a black site, a secret site in Iran to make nuclear weaponry. Hussein carried that out, and that's all about to be exposed. So that's it for this video, guys. That's what I wanted to cover. Thank you all for following along, for sharing my work, for supporting me. Thank you, Q. Thank you all behind the scenes that are putting your lives on the line, all you brave men and women who are doing this necessary work. And thank you all to you Anons, to you, Reddit writers, to everybody who's doing their part to get this great awakening rolling as it should be. Take care. I'll be seeing you guys very soon.